Happy Saturday. Hope you're all doing well, enjoying your weekend. Uh, gonna start off with this. This is pretty interesting. I, the Patriot Front, right? Now we know who these people are, but turn the chat on. I think this is a pretty one. What's up, Shannon? Yeah, good old screw soup. We can always count on them. So I'll give it a couple of seconds before I start jumping in. But I'm really not expecting anybody to join, so I guess I'll just start playing it.
Life is created equal and is worthy of protection.
We're so encouraged to see all of you. Everybody from across the land. The beauty of this event is that it's a beautiful picture of America. We have people from all walks of life, all ages, all experiences, all backgrounds. And we're all joining to celebrate life and what it means to be.
It's funny, they got Mike Johnson, right? This Christian nationalist, they keep referring to him in the mainstream media, at being played with let's be honest, these federal agents, right? And snitches, people that have been caught and said, hey, if you want to get out of this, you can sign, a secrecy contract and do this one thing for us, and actual agents. That's what I would guess anyway, but they're definitely working up to something. They're building this narrative, and they've been doing it more and more, and that's usually a pretty good indication that you're getting closer and closer to whatever it is that they have up their sleeve.
Be an American. Thank you for being a part of that.
To the inherent dignity of the human person and the sanctity of life. First Senator James Langford from Oklahoma.
Now that guy that was like, man, would you want to fly? That dude is somebody to pay attention to during this, because he says some really, really interesting things that kind of give you an idea as to, where his mind's at.
Around the state.
Oh, you have to move the
here. It is extraordinary. Ladies and gentlemen, at a New Jersey pregnancy resource center, 2 women expressed through tears of joy their mothers.
So we're here today because
Judy mentioned
there
earlier,
are a lot of
Americans
people here who
agree.
like us. There are a lot of people here who their first
National
impression
poll found
is right.
that
There were a bunch of good people here to
83% of
hand
all
out flyers,
Americans,
wave flags,
including
and we want a more ideal
75% of
America
Democrats,
which has the domestic
support
tranquility
saying
which
support.
the
A more ideal, right? That's just the beginning. I'll start calling out some of the stuff, because I had to watch it a few times before I got what I had.
so hoped for and fought so long to establish and
all of us in this
sustain
human rights
for many
movement.
generations. We are here because we are pro-family, we are pro-life, we are pro-nation, we're pro-America.
They're trying, so by association, those are the things that the powers that currently control the media and the people that broadcast this out, those are the things that they're trying to associate with this neo-Nazi group, right? The Patriot Front, which is just a bunch of feds. It's a bunch of government actors masquerading as a group for that specific reason. And when you take that in totality and really think about what that means going forward, they're not doing that. They're not creating these operations, spending massive amount of resources in order to carry these things out without a purpose. So what is that purpose? What is it that they're trying to achieve? And I think that's rather obvious, right? Things that, well, let's hear it again.
America. We believe and fought so long to establish
all
and
of us in this
sustain
human rights
for many
movement.
generations. We are here because we are pro-family, we are pro-life, we are pro-nation, we're pro-America. And we believe...
That's the last two, nationalists, right? They got to get rid of that. Globalism. Borders, our borders are being flooded. They're trying to completely destroy people's cultures, what it means to be a member of this country or this culture or this part of the world. If you can get rid of all that, you get rid of people's pride in that culture, in that nation, in those borders. And when you have been successful at eliminating all of that, then it's much, much easier to get people to accept this globalist idea where there's this global government. And the only way they can achieve that is by casting people that have these values currently, people that believe in the family unit, people that believe in reproduction, right? Because we hear it all the time from them, a massive reduction of population, even though, people that actually study these things at the most prestigious institutions say that there is a risk right now at not being able to support the aging generation, right? There's not enough people being born. So there's going to be half people that are 80, 90 years old, and like the other half, well, much, much younger, but they won't have a support class. There's not children. Half the United States right now that are able to be having children aren't having children. That's insane. That number's not completely accurate, but that's basically what it is. I'd have to look it up, but it's not good. What's up, Mitz?
Believe in advocating uniquely here for the interests of the American people, who are the American people, the American ethnicity, which is descendant from the European race who conquered and settled this land, and we're here.
So he's doing the government a huge favor there. Once again, he's like, this is what America is. America, we're the European race. I mean, it's a clear psyop. They have gigantic chunks of the military go to this exact thing, and the FBI is involved in. Like, how are we supposed to believe for 1 second that this group that gets police escorts into their white vans, arrested on public property, all of them with their hands behind their back on their knees, right? But yet not demasked, not their sunglasses taken off, not even still had their like flagpoles and shield and everything right beside it. It's a joke. But this is what we're supposed to believe, and we're supposed to believe it for a very specific reason. And that shows you the direction that they're taking this. They have plans. And they're obviously rather nefarious.
Here because that culture is a continuation of our families. If we do not have our families, if we do not have our communities, we will not have our culture, we will not have our way of life.
Said it again, our families. If we do not have our families, right? Trying to demonize this, guilt by association, essentially. It's a psychological tactic. So, family seems to be an important one, and it doesn't surprise me that he mentioned this more than once, because Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030, there was a commercial not even that long ago, or maybe was it Kamala Harris saying, or Hillary Clinton, that your child isn't your child, it's the communities. They're not screwing around when they say these things. That's the way forward. They want the state to raise your child. I mean, schooling isn't enough, right? Because you can slip through the cracks, and you can actually be one of the ones that still hold value and family values. That's the priority. That's why they're attacking it so much. And have a different religion, a belief in God other than whatever the state dictates or decides this is the God. We've been here before. This isn't the first go around. It's just a slightly different flavor of it.
Life, and we will no longer have our form of government. Our decline in the form of government has been exactly correlated with the decline of the interest of the American people in government itself.
Every time I've filmed you guys, a huge part of my audience just goes like, they must be feds, they must be fake.
Yeah.
Like, how do you respond to, especially the conservatives who are like, you guys are feds.
This is where it's pretty key to pay attention.
You guys must be some kind of fake op or something.
The Fed accusation is out of convenience. Liberals want us to be real, and we are, but
Look at his facial expressions as he's smirking as he's saying this. And the reason he can't hide his smirk is because he's got his boy right next to him that just gave him a nudge on your shoulder being like, you're killing it, bro. They'll never know. What? I'm going to play it back. Watch very closely his facial, what he says especially.
Liberals argue that we're real.
You guys must be some kind of fake op or something.
The Fed accusation is out of convenience. Liberals want us to be real, and we are. But liberals argue that we're real and we're genuine, but that we're evil, that we're Nazis, we're all these terrible things, even though we've never hurt anybody. But conservatives want to say that we're fake because it's convenient, so they don't get the guilt by association. But
so the liberals are saying you're fake, so they don't get the guilt by association.
The thing is, it's not bad to be associated with Patriot Front. We are good, we are moral, we are virtuous, we are peaceful people.
Again, all of the things that, because what they're going to do with this group after they start setting off some incendiary things and causing a little bit of chaos, and guess who's behind it? Oh, who would have ever have thought? And all of these values that have just been named over and over and over again. So you automatically, or your normal person would automatically associate those things with this group. That's what psychological association is. And when they take this group down, they're not just taking the group down, they're taking the values that that group espouses or attempting to. And it's important that we know that so we don't do that.
And a lot of people say feds because they don't trust the government. They don't trust anything. They don't trust the media. They don't know what to trust, and so they trust no one. And they let other people think for them. Many of the people who parrot the Fed accusation are that they are indeed parroting it. They are saying it because they heard somebody else say it. They are not thinking for themselves. They are not looking at the information.
Well, let's all stop and think and look for ourselves. I don't have to tell you that you can go here on YouTube and see all of their greatest hits. See each time that they've had these little operations, listen to what it is that they're saying. Look at the treatment that they get when they do get arrested. And listen to their pre-packaged, paid-for slogans that come out of a Cracker Jack box. Make your own decisions. And the people have. That's why they're saying these things. See, they are getting better with their messaging and their propaganda. But people are also getting better at spotting the bullshit. So as long as we stay ahead on this cat and mouse game, and well, really we were behind for almost the whole game, weren't we? Right? Up until the point of the internet. And I think, well, they're definitely putting a cap on that, ain't they? So anyway.
I would love to see anybody provide me one point of evidence for Patriot Front being some sort of federal ploy. We don't do anything that the FBI loves, trusts, that they do not like.
What's the guy's name? Morales or whatever it is that created it? God, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but Rupert Muriel, I don't know. Anyway, I just looked him up not too long ago, and he has a long criminal history, and then it got pretty bad, and it looks like looks like the last charge kind of just disappeared as far as sentencing, as far as everything. Like, he was arrested, but there was no trial. There was no... So, sounds like he got a deal. He got an agreement. That's often how these things happen. And, I don't know. You know, I'll look more into it myself, but I would definitely encourage you to do the same and see what we can find out about who these people are. I tried finding a number. I actually called the FBI earlier today, true story, and asked them, well, I would have asked them if there was any way that I could join one of their groups. And, you know, when they asked, like, what group, I'd be like, the Patriot Front, you know, like, I didn't see any way of membership. And I would imagine if you were a group trying to expand, like you say you are, trying to just share those good old-fashioned values, which are indeed good values, but just by a bunch of fake-ass feds trying to demonize anybody who has those. But I didn't get through, so, you know, it was after hours. Maybe we'll try again.
not like us. The people in government do not like us, and I am happy for that. I want these people not to like us in government, but I want the people here on the ground, here today supporting families, to like us, because we are pro-life. We have very different political beliefs than some of the people.
And pro-life out of nowhere comes in. Wow, he's really throwing them all in there. He must have wrote this one down, rehearsed it in the mirror a good 20, 25, 30 times maybe.
On the ground here, but that's not why we're here. We're here because murdering children in the womb is wrong, and everybody should be able to agree with that. And in political,
is he what? I didn't watch this whole thing, guys, so I like, this is remarkable to me right now that they are literally running through this whole cascade of things, all of the things that are clearly what this new world order is trying to take down.
Discourse in America, it should be more understandable to have these basic principles.
Are you concerned at all about federal informants, like one or two guys joining your group? Like, not that the whole group is a FedOp, but like...
Even if they did, and we have vetting, and I can't talk about that here, so that's unlikely, but even if it does happen, those feds would probably be serving their country in a better way than any of them do now, because they would be doing community actions, they would be doing charity actions, they would be helping young men.
Even if we do have feds, they're going to be doing all these great things, so it's fucking all right.
Find careers, get into better shape, experience their homeland and nature, participate in charitable actions towards the homeless, towards disenfranchised. We'll be doing charity actions. So that's unlikely, but even if it does happen, those feds would probably be serving their country in a better way than any of them do now, because they would be doing community actions, they would be doing charity actions, they would be helping young men find careers, get into better shape, experience their homeland and nature, participate in charitable actions towards the homeless, towards disenfranchised communities after disasters like the chemical spill in East Palestine or the hurricanes in Florida.
Did he forget the question was about if feds infiltrated your organization?
Floods in Vermont, everywhere else, they would be doing those things, and they would get very bored because a lot of FBI agents, they're very malicious people. They're very bad. They're very bad folks, and they believe in harming people. They believe in setting up terrorists to pursue a narrative that terrorism is a bigger threat.
Wait, there you go. They believe in setting up terrorists. That's key right there. That he just outed himself by saying that. Now, you wouldn't say they're terrorists if they're setting them up, right? You don't need to set up terror. This is what he's arguing. Listen again.
Bigger threat in the country than it is. People, they're very bad. They're very bad folks, and they believe in harming people. They believe in setting up terrorists to pursue a narrative that
they believe. The FBI believes in setting up terrorists to pursue. No, you mean patriots, bro? They view patriots as terrorists. So that's a Freudian slip right there, but it's the best one I've ever seen in my entire life, actually. You don't call your brethren terrorists. And he calls the FBI. They're bad. They're very bad.
That terrorism is a bigger threat in the country than it is, and in turn causing people to be untrustworthy of anything they see, which disrupts the ability to organize. It disrupts people coming together, trusting one another, and changing things. So I imagine our culture, our strength, our processes, our safeties and securities are antithetical and anathema to what any sort of FBI agent, morally bankrupt,
and they have guns on their flags,
as they are, would be interested in.
Because being pregnant while finishing your degree can be really difficult. With a false choice of being a mom or being...
you prick!
That's right. We also passed the Supporting Pregnant and Women and Families Act.
What is this? Is this all the feds' children? What am I looking at here? What are all these dudes wearing blue beanies?
That's a big one too. Right now, you should know, the Biden administration...
Are these like kids that they're... Oh my God, what are they doing? This seems so incredibly...
They're leaders of Charlottesville. They're fucking Nazis. They're ruining the image for everyone.
Make your parents like you more grandchildren.
I have 3 kids, weirdo. That's why I know you have small penises. That's why you have...
I don't know how you know that from your kids, man. That's weird.
How have you avoided street fighting so much? Over the last 4 years, like groups as you put it, radicalism usually end up getting tussles with like Antifa and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
How have you like avoided that? I don't think I've ever seen you guys actually tussle.
We have, and we plan.
Now, again, the DHS and the FBI have been warning us for years that there's that, and we call, listen, people that have been doing this, we called this shit out long before this started happening. After, I would say about 2003, 2004, 2005, many of us started seeing that all of the things that they were creating to go after these terrorists overseas were like kind of scary, because what if they ever decided to use them against us, right? Because they made it a show to let us know, like, hey, we have this capability and this is how we're going to find them and this and this and this. And that was pretty impressive in and of itself. But then Edward Snowden later on came out and showed us some of, not even nearly all of, what was being used against us. As far as the people were concerned, they had thought that the war was still, the people that they were still investigating, still spying on, still watching every chance that they had, were overseas. But then they started realizing that these are domestic programs. It's because it was always meant to be used. That apparatus would always turn inwards upon the people. Because they're not worried about other countries. They've already taken over, created coups, gotten all the countries on board and doing exactly what it is that they want. However, the United States, the people here, there is a constitution in it's one of the most difficult countries because of the people's values and the laws that are essential to this country, the foundation of this country, not this bullshit law that they come out with afterwards. And I'm an anarchist, so even saying this, this is just giving credit where credit's due. And it's definitely the last domino to fall. And if it falls, there's no recovery, right? So it's important that if anybody sees this in another country, and I don't expect this to happen on YouTube, they're going to shut it down. And I'm not, anyways, any chance you get to get messages out that are important, do it. You have to take the time to do it, because, and that's not every video, right? Just certain things that offer certain things. We'll leave it there.
We plan not to.
There's more that I want to watch, but my time is quickly coming to an end here. So before I go, I got some other stuff that I want to jump through. That was fascinating, though. That was definitely fascinating. Judge dismisses charges against Patriot Front founder. This was typical, right? Founder. And they'll use these types of things, just like they'll use immigration. They're going to use immigration to create a bunch of laws. It's that left-right. They bounce it back. It's like a volleyball effect. You get the left, and then they're going to create these laws to go after the right, and then the right will come in power, and then they'll create laws to go after the left, and they'll have half the country each time, cheering it on. And that's how they get away with it, and that's how we end up with fewer and fewer rights. But it's getting to the point now where they don't even want to go after your rights. They want to go after you. And that's where we need to stand up, right? We need to stop arguing with each other about petty-ass things that they're trying to make worthy of a civil war. And they're attacking all of the things that make us powerful and them less. Like cryptocurrencies, right? a non-controlled currency, non-controlled by the central banks. If we actually had that and we were able to use something that the central banks had no control of, well, then they would cease to exist, right? A secondary monetary system. We could cut the government out of our lives. We are the people. I mean, there could be a case to be made. And again, violence is not the way to do it, but there are ways to do it. And I have some ideas. I honestly do. And I think I'm not stupid enough to start spousing them off with 150 people watching so I can get shut down real fast, or if they could make moves against anything like that, just in case anybody ever had similar ideas. I would rather wait until we could get a few more people and then really start making moves to protect those very values that they're clearly trying to demonize at each and every turn. Right? Who's the one that are dropping bombs on people, mowing people down, taking their resources? Is that the people, or is that the government ordering people that signed up for something? And by government, I mean psychopathic people that have given themselves power, more power than they were ever elected to do anything with, right? They're abusing. It's a mockery. Our current system is a mockery of itself. It used to actually have a certain reverence about it. And again, I'm an anarchist, so that says a lot. Like, I'd probably, if the only reason I really am that now is because, and not the typical like burn shit down, like that's the common stereotype. Just, I think we could do it better without any type of government intervention. I think people know how to rule themselves. I think we're mature enough, and I think people will hold people accountable. I think that the biggest limitation of us doing that now is the government. I think the biggest perpetrators of crime right now these aren't even really my opinion. These are facts that can be. What's get down to the very bottom brass tacks of it, right? Who killed more people than anybody? That's one of the most deciding factors. What's the leading cause of death? Death by government. Democide, right? That says it all. There's always going to be, unless you finally decide to have rules without having to have power-hungry sociopaths do everything in their power to achieve that status so they can manipulate and bend the rules to better suit them and screw you over, because that will always be the incentive, and that will always be what happens. It was never meant to be that way. Yeah, research warns white supremacists. This is an older one, but I wanted to bring this up because it wasn't that long ago. Research warns white supremacists are building a shadow militia, right? That goes back to the Patriot Front. I didn't want to go through the article. I just wanted to pop that up. Now, Politico, populism keeps rattling the globe. Elites have no idea what to do. What is let's get a Google definition. Populism.
Here's the definition of populism: a political approach that strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are disregarded by established elite groups.
Political approach that strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are disregarded by established elite groups, right? That's your common person that is just trying to agree with other people. That's basically saying you and your common man, if you agree that the elite are failing and right? Because elite government officials, elite in resources and funds, if you believe that they're failing, well, then you're a populist. And it's rattling the globe, and elites have no idea what to do. For more than a decade, forces on the ideological extremes have torn at the global political fabric. And for just as long, the luminaries at the World Economic Forum have fretted about how dangerous that phenomenon is for the businesses they lead and the countries they govern. But years into the transnational struggle with resurgent populism, the corporate leaders in Davos appear to have no serious solutions. In conversations after conversation here, I detected resignation and helplessness among business executives when it came to their counterparts in government. There is a desperate desire to see the world's political leaders appeal more to moderates instead of capitalizing on extremes. But there's also recognition that the political market doesn't easily reward the people in the middle. Interesting. Interesting take, Politico. Trump's rant about deep banking serves as a message to far-right extremists. How? Right? Now, I'm not a Trump fan. I know that he is not going to be the savior that everybody is hoping for. He is the system. Everything that's happening right now, like Vivek Ramaswamy hanging it up and deciding to endorse him, like everything that's happening, it definitely has the era of planning, of orchestration, of at least people having some idea about what it is, the dance that they're supposed to do with each other, right? Like it's very coordinated. It looks like everything at this stage right now to me is screaming like they're setting up something big. And it's politics, so the biggest thing in politics is the election, right? I guess that would mean that come around election time, maybe the month before or that election or right thereafter, I think that's going to be when it really goes down. I think everybody kind of can see that.
Trump sharpened his attacks against Nikki Haley in a meandering speech that was all over the place.
We have more liquid gold and wealth under our feet than any other nation. We have more liquid.
I don't want to watch any of that stuff. I'm not going to waste my time doing that. It's always good to pay attention to these types of things. Bill Gates reveals plan to change vaccines. Well, he's had that plan for a while, and he's been changing them for quite some time, right? He's got Gavi. He's highly involved in CEPI. He's like the largest funder of the the World Health Organization. Yeah, it's pretty serious when he starts talking about changing vaccines yet again. And what are they? What are they going to be changed to? We'll make specific videos about that. Guys, as I've mentioned recently, I'm kind of just sticking here for right now because of this year. And it's very important that I stay in contact with you. That's why I'm not even talking about more of the controversial things that I normally do, is because I can't afford to get strikes. I have to be able to talk to you guys. And I would love if you would go to my other backup channel and subscribe to that, and then start checking out me on BitChute. And, like if I start seeing people going to places or let me know what they would watch, I'll spend time doing it. But right now, being able to just have a live stream and be able to put something out right then and there is vital. And that's a cable, a connection that I don't want to sever. I'm going to get wrapping it up pretty soon here. Got to cover one last thing. Anti-Semitism is getting worse as more shocking and scary incidents are exposed, DC residents say. You know, it's funny that last DHS bulletin that they came out, what's up, Western Warrior? Try son_of_perdition. It might come up as that. If not, try son, like capital S, son, capital O of, capital P perdition with no spaces. There's some pretty good predictions that'll come up about what's happening now. I would highly encourage people to check out some of my older videos. They can be found on Telegram, and if anybody's really interested, email me. I'll give you the links to it. But well, I can't think of his name right now. It's escaping me. But you guys know in the chat, at least one of you has an amazing archive, active research. I always say active archive because change your name to active archive, active research. No, don't do it. None of mine. I mean, it's just easier for me to remember. I think it would be easier for anybody to remember, honestly. But anyways, Active Research's channel, he's posted a couple of times, and I posted it also in the community post his link before. What's up, Shulamite? The older stuff is interesting because I make predictions here and there, and I've been doing it since I first had my first channel, which was over a decade ago, well over a decade ago, and I've been pretty accurate, at least on the big things. I've been almost well above 95%. Little things, I'm like, well, maybe we'll see this, you know. But if I say mark my words, I would love anybody to go back and fact check me on any of my old videos. And if I say mark my words, what's the percentage that I've ever been wrong on those? And I'm not really bragging on that. It's because sometimes you just see enough of them telling you exactly what's going to happen. And a lot of people miss it. I don't know why. People are just like listening to the overall message and not paying attention to the little things, which I spend a lot of time on this channel and all my channels going through, because you learn a lot by reading between the lines. And I think we should focus on that because it definitely serves us right. Member of new Harvard anti-Semitism task force signed a letter saying Israel. I don't care. This was to something else. This is probably a good idea to just create a separate live stream for this, because I want to take time and go through some of this stuff. Amid worries over rising anti-Semitism, right? Because just like we have this is in Canada, but just like we have the DHS that keeps telling us about how white supremacy, far-right extremism, conspiracy theories, these things are causing more damage. This is that's what I was talking about earlier. This is the new threat, right? Bigger than anything else. Domestic terrorism. They're always going to turn it around on us and use it against us. Amid worries over rising anti-Semitism, the young Canadians contend it's not happening. Well, the DHS keeps telling us here that we have this huge problem, right? And they happen to start using the word terrorism with that problem. And the reason that they're doing that is because the National Defense Authorization Act of 2012 allows them miraculous capabilities, unbelievable powers, if the person is deemed to be a terrorist or potential thereof, if they're suspected of being. That's pretty frightening, because if we're to make anything out about how they keep trying to label this entire group of people, and I mean the DHS and DOJ and FBI, CIA, I'm sure. if they're spending all their time, resources, money, and everything that they're showing us through the mainstream media and even through Hollywood and stuff like that about people that have those values, the same values that that guy was just espousing. Then it's not going to be. They're saying it's already the biggest threat, right? This is why they need to turn that massive apparatus that was used to go after terrorists overseas in on the American people. I don't know. I got to get going, though, guys. Is there, before I go, anything anybody wants to talk about? I got a couple of minutes. So, the point of this really was we need to be very conscientious and conscious of what's being said, right? There's going to be things that have a lot of emotion naturally built in. That's why that they're going to be focusing on them, and there'll be real reason to have high emotions. Like, you won't be wrong for having them, but the thing about that is it clouds decision making. It clouds your ability to reason, and you start becoming more carnal, more primitive, and it's easier, much easier to go along with groupthink, with the masses, with social contagion, hive mind mindset. Easier than you might, like, yeah, you know, we could all sit there and be like, yeah, I know what's going on, you know, we don't. You'd be surprised, because you're in for a treat. I hope you all have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Spend some time with your family. Try to, at least, if you can. Let bygones be bygones. Make strides, you know, towards a better life. Never take anything for granted. And who am I to say any of those things? I hope you all have a great night. Much love. Peace.